Magoo?
Hey.
What's up?
Not much.
I know it's down. Your wallet. Let's see. What do you got here, dude? What do you got for us today?
I can just screen share if you want.
Wow, then I have to like order you around to scroll through things. It's easier to have like the base thing, and then I'll go from there. Wait, why is it not? How do you want to open this with Google Chrome? Yes, please.
Take a second to load.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of stuff. Wow, you got all of this stuff figured out.
Yeah, I was setting this up yesterday anyway.
Oh, it's beautiful, dude.
Might as well have to gear on.
Damn, look at that. My shit is not this organized, let me just tell you that.
There's tabs on the bottom too, if you want to go through that.
Gear, stats. I see. So you are maining a two-headed hero?
I want to swap to one hand eventually.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever get the... What's it called? Arcane gear.
Oh yeah. You have like shields, recipes, and all of that ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You are Zaza. I hate how the level doesn't show up. What is it, 240 something or?
245, yeah.
Educated guess. Do you want me to give you like feedback on this stuff and then go from there, or?
Sure. All you.
Okay. Let's see. So you played up to 2 years ago and then kind of came back recently?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So we got some people in the chat, Dan's gaming at the two-handed sword. Listen, guys. Okay. Chill.
Yeah, this was pre-Terminus shield stuff, okay?
Yeah, Terminus. Well, Terminus isn't in reboot, sadly.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah, no. Unlucky. It's like a Marvel only. Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
It's not even in the drop table of the monsters who were supposed to have Terminus in the drop table, so it's literally Marvel only.
Wait, then what should I be using?
Deimos Warrior Shield.
Okay.
Probably. Do you have some recipes from that?
I dropped all of them, but I could
Oh yeah.
get them again, I guess.
Yeah. So normal Cygnus is probably on your weekly list, I would assume.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's go through that. Chaos Zakum, Hard Magnus. Let's see if that's still the same. Yeah, Hard Hela is now weekly. Okay, so you have all of that. Chaos 4, Chaos Pink Bean, Cygnus, Lotus Thing, Dailies. Wow, you do easy Balrog as a daily? Yeah.
I meant normal, but you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, actually, I did the easy rock. Yeah, I don't know why I did.
Well, yeah. So if you have a limited amount of time a day, it might be worth to drop some things and pick up some other things instead. Oh, your level is right here. Just yeah. I've gone through my dailies grid anytime recently.
No.
Because I have updated it quite a bit. So the first
thing, Monster Park and the missile thing.
Yeah, Maple Tour and Monster Park. Yeah, those are high up here. So basically, the first screen is about like what it's good for and what the expected value and everything is. And then the second one goes by level on how relevant it is to, or how important it is to be trying it around your level. So if you haven't played in 2 years, some of the things might have changed around. Gollix is going to 180 after the next week update. So there's some stuff like that just keeps moving, but I try to keep that all up to date in this grid. So whenever you're wondering about like which weeklies and dailies are good, you can basically always just look at this grid, and I'll do my best to keep it up to date.
Okay.
The thing with Maple Tour now is like extra money, and you can get coupons from the buckwheat. Are you up to speed with all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if you have any other explorer, maybe your archmage or something, you can transfer the extra coupons.
Wait, you can buy it more than once?
Yeah, so every character, if you cap coins, you get a buckwheat, and then with a buckwheat, you can buy the item once once per day per character. But then the coupons themselves go into your cash shop, and you can transfer them. So you be able to transfer them into your hero, and then cap runs every day.
Okay.
And make free every well, I mean, for the next 6 days, of course. Then the events are over. But it's a decent amount of extra money, I would say.
Makes sense.
And your Kana is over leveled, but that's actually good because all of the farming we do on Kanas now is like an arcane and above, or like vanishing journey just in the arcane area and above. So it's actually
doesn't do any damage. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, but you already have a level 2 or 3, right? So now it's a matter of like upgrading it.
Fair.
Probably throwing nodes on it. Like getting the boost nodes is going to be a big way of increasing its damage.
Okay.
Why couldn't I see the corner of my green screen? Hang on. It's triggering me. Hang on. Oh wait, now it's gone. Now it's back. Like, what the fuck? It has like 1 pixel left. Okay, nobody's gonna notice. We'll just edit that out. Okay, Archmage. Okay, so that's the thing you can do. Yeah, I don't know why you do Balrog. If there's any, maybe you were trying to get the weapon to anvil it, maybe, because it has that special thing.
I don't know why I do it.
That Bane weapon, right? Well, I mean, if it's fun for you, then by all means keep doing it. I'm just saying that, like, for in-game value.
I don't think I've done it in a while though.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't have much. Yeah, I'm just going by what's on here. Normal Zakum. Maybe this was back when the drop rate for flames was temporarily like way higher.
I think that might be when I made this thing.
Yeah, it's possible. So they basically just reverted back to the old. That was like a temporary thing that just came out of nowhere, and it also just disappeared again after a while. Okay. So the drop rates are back to normal. Because I also see you have Omni CLN, like normal Hilla, and Hard von Leon on here. Those were also really good for flames, but those basically don't give any flames anymore. So those could just be safely like dropped from the list without any kind of value lost there.
Okay.
Hardram Road, yeah. 4 doors. I still do 4 doors, but you could reduce that to just Queen and Vellum for the shards, because they're higher tier souls.
Okay.
Unless you want to.
Tiers. Shit. I didn't know souls had tiers.
Yeah, if you check the dailies, I have a soul shard tier column as well.
Okay.
So depending on what tier they are, they will give you better stats when you use them, basically. Like the passive effect when they're on your weapon will be bigger. And then in general, the summons that they are, in general, are kind of better too. But those, well, between S and double S, those are kind of the same. But if you can choose, then you would always want to go for a double S, because then the passive bonus will just be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it also has like a link to the like a website that explains everything, what the numbers are and all of that stuff. So you can read up on that if you want to.
Okay.
Normal pink bean is not one that I do, but you could do that as a daily. Typically, what I do is like is Queen and Vellum because they're double S soul shards, and then normal Magnus because it's also a daily, also with a double S soul shard, and then Hard Ramaru because he drops a lot of like nice things, and then normal Arc because of the eternal the primal essences and confusion fragments, and because some nice stuff that he drops basically. And then those are like the core. If I feel like it, I'll do the other 2 from 4 doors as well, because they're kind of close and they're pretty fast, and they have an okay drop chance for flames, and also because you have a chance of getting the Frédéric de Blanc shop at the end, and that shop can give you I don't know if I have it here. Normal root of it. Oh, actually, do I have it? Dude, I'm so good. Because you can also get the sparkling potions, right? You know about those? Oh, this is really small. So Frédéric de Blanc's shop can sell these items on stream. Have you seen these before?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, so you have the normal ones you can only use in Root Abyss, so those are totally useless, but there's also sparkling versions of the potions. And those are just freely transferable within your storage, and you can also use outside. So the sparkling white one gives you 2 hour of severely increased epic potential drop on equips, and the black one gives you 2 hours of increased unique potential on equips. So if you're trying to gear a new character and you're just trying to get decent gear, you could just pop one of these and just get epic, like full epic, in probably in like 15 or 20 minutes of Yellow King Goblin map, just farming for pencilier gear there.
Gotcha.
So it's nice to have that added value, because those are pretty rare, because I've been doing this for a long time on a lot of characters, and I have 14 of them, so it's not like, yeah, it's not super common.
Okay.
So it's nice to have that extra value, and if you do it on a few characters, you know, the extra chance. And you see flame here and there, and you know. And the soul shards aren't that bad. They're tier S, so it's only 1 tier lower, so it'll still be a decent soul, like, placeholder on an extra character, basically.
Gotcha.
Weeklies, yeah. Those, you can kill all of those that have a check mark. You're good on all of those.
I've just cleared those. I just rejoined like a guild with my old guild members, so I'm gonna be clearing the other 4 down there eventually.
I see. I mean, Lotus and Damien solo will be close for you once you upgrade a bit, probably. Yeah, I mean, if you're at 245 and you have your max nodes.
Yeah.
Because I soloed those with my hero since like 230.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty close for you. And yeah, Lucid and Will are inherently just team bosses at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you keep upgrading further, you'll have like Hard Lucid and Hard Will after that, but you'll probably need some practice on the bosses first.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see. Legion, close to 5k. So we do have a burning coming up. So you could, because you have every character made, right? That's what it looks like.
Except like 4, but I have the slots 4 or 5.
Just the 4. Oh, they're just the 4 latest ones, right?
Oh no, like the random ones I didn't want to touch, like Night Lord, Corsair, and like Paladin or something.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and then we have Adele coming out this summer.
Okay.
Are you kind of up to speed with Adele and all of that stuff and what's going on there?
But
Oh,
I'll look that up later.
yeah, it's basically a warrior of the same area of Arc and Ilium.
Okay.
The Flora warrior has like blades floating around her that attack stuff all the time. Seems to be pretty strong. Kind of. Probably gonna be like kind of in the same spot as Hero, but not nearly as bursty. More stable damage output type oriented.
I see.
And the link skill should probably be good for bossing there. So that's probably going to come into play. It gives you basic damage and an extra boss damage depending on how many people are in your party. So specifically boss damage link. Wait, okay, 2 years. So are you up to speed with all of the link skills that explorers have link skills and everything?
Oh yeah. I just don't know if they're like actually worth using. I don't know which ones I should be working on.
Yeah, okay. So if you check exclamation mark links, then you get this beautiful thing. Wow, look at that. Look at this beautiful pink monstrosity. Oh shit, I was zoomed out a little bit too hard there. This has... Is there a line through that? All of the link skills and legion buffs of all characters in the game.
Okay.
So in general, I organize them in the columns up top from vital to bossing to utility to specific to trash, basically. And then that gives you a general order on the left-hand column of which, what has the most value, kind of. Of course, as something has value, because critical rate is very important, once your critical rate is 100%, the value drops to 0 and you just skip it and you go over to the next one, basically. Some things are inherently more valuable, like the Legion buff. You're going to run out of characters that give you important and useful Legion buffs pretty soon. So everything that has a decent Legion ends up in the late game and in the end game having a higher priority, even if their link skill isn't important, just because the alternatives you'll have for Legion won't give you anything at all. So it's better to have something than nothing there.
Gotcha.
So we're talking about like Night Lord and Marksman, for example. Even if you don't need the crit rate now, eventually you'll need it. So it's going to be part of your Legion no matter what. And it'll help your other characters level faster as well, because critical rate is very important for lower level characters, because once you hit 100% critical rate, all of your critical damage applies, and then that helps you in the early game with your damage a lot. So that's why I have the general priority list, I guess, that I do.
Yeah.
So
a lot more complicated.
yeah, the Explorer ones are kind of like weird buffs. So if you hover over it and then click the description, it gives you the actual description of the skill, because this is like way too much information for me to actually put in the grid. So what you're going to be getting is the Explorer Mages. This one basically just debuffs the boss. Gives a little like a book over their head up to 3 stacks, and then if you have it fully stacked, every stack gives you 3% damage and 3% IED up to 9% each for the 3 stacks.
Does it have an internal cooldown or?
Nope, it just has to stack on the same target. So for mobbing it does nothing, and for bossing it's pretty good.
Okay. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it overpowers the Kana Link skill because of that, because it's like 9% IED versus 1% damage is a overpower there. And then the the Thief one, you'll probably want to use that as well. It's mainly oriented for bossing. Well, it's 100% oriented for bossing, but it's mainly oriented for bursts, more burst type classes. Because if you look at the numbers, just like based on uptime, then it's worse than the Kana damage bonus, because it gives you 18%, but only for 10 seconds, but only every 20 seconds. So it's 0.5% uptime, so it's an average of 9%. But if you combine this with your burst and you get 18% extra damage during your burst, and then you don't get the extra damage when you're off burst, then it actually ends up being more than the 10% on average. So if you do more stable damage the whole time, you just use the Kana one. If you're more bursty, you use Thief Cunning in general is the way to go.
Gotcha.
I also saw that your Angelic Buster is still very underleveled, right?
I don't think I made one. It's like level 1 or something.
Oh yeah, I think you have a level 10. I think it says on the grid here.
Yeah.
And since Angelic Buster is also very useful, but only for burst type classes, as a hero you probably want to get that. So you clocked out when you had 1 5th job skill, 2 5th job skills?
Yeah. I have it. I think I linked my Legion stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right. Stats on the bottom right here. Yeah, okay.
I had a ton of leftover notes. I maxed the new one out right away.
Oh, you had all the shards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so instinctual combo, you know how it works and everything?
Which one?
Instinctual combo, so that's the orange one. That's the 3rd 5th job skill, the one that was added last, probably when you weren't playing anymore.
Isn't that the active, I think? Yeah.
Or combo instinct, instinctual combo, yeah, is what people call it. Basically, that doubles your burst.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like when it came out, everyone was kind of mad at Hero. Yeah, it just doubles your burst damage basically. If you do a damage test, it does like between 45 and 48% of your total burst in like the 40-second dummy test. It's absolutely disgusting, and it also makes it so that you don't have to move to keep attacking. So when you're locked on the number of attacks, you don't have to worry about that with this. The only thing you want to make sure is that while you're using this, you'll have a severely reduced chance of building back combos. So you want to make sure if you debuff the boss, then you build up your combos back first, then you activate this, and then you start attacking, so you don't lose the final damage buff from the skill itself. And it gives you like a bunch of extra final damage as well on top of everything. It's just like horribly broken, but yeah, really nice. It makes Hero super balanced. I see that you don't have in your current setup here, you don't have decent combat orders equipped.
Decent combat orders?
Yeah. but I do see
I
they
think
have
I
decent.
have it in my boots, so I'm not using. I don't.
On
I
your
don't have it.
shoes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that explains that. Yeah, because it's very important because it gives you like more final damage on all of your stacks of your combo.
Yeah.
So oh yeah, decent combat orders with 21% strength. Nice. I see. I see.
So, I think
Well,
I'm gonna replace those anyway, right? So.
Eventually, yeah, but you're probably going to be throwing a lot of money at stuff before you upgrade that stuff. I like for my Demon Avenger, for example, like the amount of money I would have to throw at my character to upgrade from the the Tyrant stuff that I have. It's like, oh my god, it takes so much extra that I'm just sticking to where it is. Like, it's not worth it for me for that character. But for my arc, I went for full Absolab. Yeah, higher Star Force Absolab for sure. Okay, so that's like the backup stuff, you know, about the shields.
I just don't know where to use my. I'm waiting till the 22nd to plus 15 everything. Or 15 star everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then attempt 17 starring later. But after that, I don't know.
Are you planning on just making money with the hero and keeping on leveling, or still having the dedicated farmer for the Kana that needs to build up, or?
See, I'm not sure yet if I want to use the mesos to build a Kana or just farm one hero.
Cause yeah, you have like almost 8 bill now, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we didn't get our March DMT yet, and everyone's kind of like hoping that it's going to be soon. But there's also a chance that they just completely skip it, right? So if there's a DMT soon, there could be some big value there in just investing that into the Kana instead, so you can get it strong enough and start leveling that. Because Kana has been completely reworked as well since you last played it.
Yeah, man. Every map I'm in, I see a Kana.
Yeah, they're just everywhere because they're just horribly broken. And Kishin has been nerfed since 2 years ago, but it's still like really good. But the thing is, do you know about Fury totems?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think I bought all for this month.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so in that regard, you don't need like the 2PC setup to still keep making decent amount of progress, but it's limited to 30 hours a month, right? So, and you're okay with all the...
Cube anything?
I'm gonna look real cute, but I don't think you, with this gear, I don't think you have trouble killing anything, right?
No, everything one shot.
The question is like when you switch things into oh, your reinforced ring is in there twice, I think.
Oh, well, I have a superior with.
Yeah, one is one is supposed to be the superior, I think.
It is 27% strength.
I see.
17 star.
You have like a full drop setup as well, or?
Yeah, I think I have 180%.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so the bottom.
One line on.
Yeah, one line on all of them.
To the bottom, all the way to the bottom.
Scroll up a little bit, I think.
Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so 9 and one line on all. Yeah. And do they all have like a line of strength on top of that as well, or is it just drop rate?
I don't, but I still farm relatively well with them.
Yeah, you still one shot with that on, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I think you said I should be farming in Arcane, or what was it? Arcana instead for droplets.
Arcana, yeah. How are you on the amount of droplets that you have? Like, is it going to be realistic to get to?
I have 9 coins right now.
9 coins.
Phantasma coin.
Yeah.
That's all I have. I think. One day.
Because the cost for the coins is going down this summer, so all the coins will cost 1 less droplet.
Okay. I think I have like 12 droplets or something.
Okay. Yeah, that won't be. Okay. Oh yeah, 12 of the channel droplets. You mean like from the monsters? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's almost another coin there. Yeah, that'll probably inform your decision on how heavy you want to go on the weapon. Because if you're like getting close to halfway on the weapon, then you're probably, what I'm guessing, gonna go towards like funding your Kana to be able to farm for your main, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then you will get to that arcane weapon So you don't want to go super hard on your current weapon. I mean, you want to go for 17 stars. And then go one-handed, and then prep a shield. Shield goes up to 20 stars, and then gets pretty much the same pot as what you have now on it.
I see.
So familiars are changing.
Yeah, I saw that.
But we don't know the numbers yet. So we definitely want to wait and see how that's going to happen. Like, if you're going to be able to get a lot of IED, a lot of boss damage there, before you like commit to any kind of recubing, of course, of those. But that should happen before that comes into play for you. So that shouldn't be like a huge thing to wait for. Arcane power is decent, but you know about the dailies, you know about the double dailies and everything?
Double dailies. I know about the 2 dailies available before Morass, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that they have 2 dailies, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And you can autocomplete with maple points if you want to, but I wouldn't advise doing that. There's just the option, I'm just saying. But yeah, so that should make like your choo-choo and your vanishing journey and your arcane symbol level up very quickly.
Yeah, they're leveling up really fast.
Yeah. You've been back for a little bit now, or?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. But like 1 day or like 2 weeks or?
It's been 2 weeks now?
Oh yeah, 2 weeks, okay. Yeah, I knew exactly it was 2 weeks. I was stalking you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Lucky guess I get. Okay, yeah. And you know about the extra symbols you can get from the shop right now for the coins if you want to?
Oh, yeah. Buying the latest one, I think.
Yeah, that'll help your Asphera a little bit. Okay, if you don't have trouble killing with the drop rate gear. Okay. So you're probably already Lotus and Damien ready. Wait, how much stat are you?
32k.
32. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, I think I was working on Lucid before I quit, and we cleared it a few times.
Yeah, Lucid and Will.
But
you just want to
that
be
was a
more
while back.
prominent there. Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone else got a lot stronger, right? So that should be helpful for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Inner ability, if you want to min-max that later on, do you know how to go about that?
Not really.
Okay. You can check exclamation mark inner ability in the chat. I have 3 things there. The first thing is like how to go about it. It's a beautiful guide. Look at that with like smiley faces and color coded and everything. I'm gonna assume you're gonna go for the min-max approach because you're already that far. So basically what you have now is the temp, and what you need to do now is save up a lot of honor experience. You don't have that much to go off right now. So that's gonna be a lot of bossing. If you're training and you have drop rate, those should drop more honor medals as well. And by doing dojo every week and then getting the points on Monday, and you can use the points in the shop to buy honor medals there. And typically event stores can also sell honor medals. I think even right now, I think they have them as well.
I think the arcane symbols are more important though, right?
Once you get to 1140 and you can do bonus damage to will, it'll still give you stat, but you'll max it eventually, right?
Yeah. True.
Honor experience, you can be millions that you throw at your character and you can still not get what you want. It's a much more limited resource. I would say they both have value, but at a certain point, like when you start needing more than 200 symbols to get a single level, you definitely get reduced value off of your event. What is it? Currency. There you go. That's the C word I was looking for. And at that point, the honor experience can be much more valuable, I think, especially for you in your situation. Because so the main reason you want so the second one that I have on inner ability is like just all of the possible outcomes. So if you roll anything, you can see, is this good? Is this an epic line? Is this a unique line? Is this a legendary line? Is this what I possibly want? And the third thing is like the thing that goes into what is the best in slot for your character. So for a hero, it's definitely attack speed +1 on the top, because you need it even to cap attack speed even with one-handed. And then is critical rate, very important, because you know your critical rate is very low, right? That's why you have level 12 in your hyper stats right now.
Yeah.
And then either boss or attack is kind of similar. I think most people tend to go for attack, but if you roll boss, that's fine too. But the critical rate is the critical point here, pardon the pun. That one is very rare, and that can end up costing you a lot. So what you do, if you look at the little guide, what you do once you have enough points, so you keep what you have right now is really good. You have the attack speed, you're taking advantage of having the faster attack speed. But then once you have that, you save up a lot of money, and then I would wait until there's a sale on circulators, and then you just throw a bunch of circulators on until you see 20% critical rate on either your second or your third line. And then if you see that, you hold that, and then, you know, with all of the honor experience you've saved, you wait until there's a 50% off inner ability reroll, and then you lock that 20% crit line wherever it is, and your tier of your potential, which you have to automatically do, otherwise it won't let you roll. And then you roll until you get the attack speed +1 back on the top line. And then those two will be like the backbone of your inner ability. And then, you know, if you have some points left, you can just like YOLO roll for the last one and hopefully maybe get something, but there's a good chance you won't get anything off of the third line, only if you're super lucky. Gotcha. But yeah, that can literally cost you millions, 3, 4, 5, 6 million inner ability, like honor experience. So it's a very long-term process to max that out. You could also get super lucky and get it in like 150,000, but yeah, you gotta like build a safety net for yourself, basically.
I see.
So that's why honor experience is important.
Gotcha. The best way to use my mesos is just dump it on my Kana.
If you're planning on for the Kana to make your money back, then that's the best way to go, yeah, because it'll just earn it back tenfold. They're just ridiculous at making money. And once you have Legion coins, which you have already starting to build up, then you'll be able to use all those coupons. And you know about the wealth acquisition potions and all that?
Yeah, I've been just buying the EXP coupons with them, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. But you know about wealth acquisition potions, like the 2-hour potions with alchemy and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Because yeah, if you combine that with the Legion wealth and then with Mesoptane and Indurability Mesoptane and all of that on the Kana, money just flying in. People make like somewhere between 700 mil and a little over $1 billion an hour off of 2x. So
okay,
that just big returns. And then once you have that critical rate, of course you can roll out of a lot of critical rate that you have, either a link skill or out of your critical rate hyper stats, and you can distribute those to other points, and then that'll end up making you a lot stronger there. So that's what the value of the inner ability is there, just to put that into context. Okay. I'm working on 7-Day Monster Parker. Are you getting that?
Yeah, I'm working on those.
Okay.
Buying the tickets every day.
Yep. How's your knowledge on flames and such? Are you aware what is a good flame, what is a bad flame, what you're aiming for?
No, I have no idea. I've just been keeping anything with more than like 40 stat. Except on Golic stuff, apparently.
Yeah, so if you check for flames in the chat, I have a lot of commands for all of these things. So right now it's going to be maybe a lot of information, but you can read up on it later and then get a little bit more in-depth. So for flames, I also have... What is it? Also have 3 things. So the first one is you can check if something is a boss item or not. So that's the general discrepancy between items is it a boss item or not? You'll also hear people say, does it get KMS flames or not? Is it flame advantage or not? These are all referring to the same thing. Basically, an item has like a hard code into it. Either it gets what's called good flames or just bad flames. Okay. Now you can an item that gets good flames can still get a shitty flame. But it has a better chance of better results. So basically the first list is you in the beginning you can check this to see if an item is even capable of getting good flames or bad flames. So let's say you just pick like a random item. You pick the Sweetwater Tattoo, for example. You can just Control F and just look for it. And you can see that you can't find it in the list. So it's not a boss item. It's not going to get good flames. You can try for another item, for example, the Tyrant Boots. And as soon as you type in Tyrant, you should find like a whole list here. Tyrant, what is it? Hyades, Boots, there. And you can find it in the list, which means that it is a boss item, so it will get good flames. And then if you check the second link, you'll see, well, the second one is kind of like an explanation of the flame score. Basically, it's very hard to compare which flame is good and which one is better than another one because there's a lot of different numbers going on. And what the flame score tries to do is it tries to unify all of the stats that the flame gives into one number, so you can compare those numbers to each other, so you can compare it on even footing. So what the flame score tries to represent is the equivalent amount of main stat that the flame gives you. So it looks at all the appropriate stats. So your main stat just counts for 1 because you're trying to get the amount of main stat. Your weapon and your magic attack gets multiplied. For you, probably it'll be around ×4, and that will drop later on in the game, basically because of the reduced efficiency of attack. Once you get to higher Star Force, you'll get a lot more weapon attack, and therefore the efficiency of weapon attack compared to stat will go down. So for you, it's still 4. Later on, it'll probably drop to a 3. And because of that change of efficiency, all stat for you will roughly be equivalent of 8 stat, but that will go up later in the game for the same reason, basically. So for now, if you want to look at your flame score real quick, it's about just your main stat plus your weapon attack ×4 plus your all stat ×8. And that way you can compare all of the flames roughly. Of course, it's not like super exact, but you can roughly compare all of them. So if you look at your hat, that's about 84. You look at your top, that's about 64. You can drag in secondary stat as well if you have a decent amount of it. Early on in the game, secondary stat is about 8-1. And then later on in the game, it goes to about 10-1. So 32 is about 4 main stat equivalent, so that would be around 68. And then the pants has 3 attacks, so ×4, so 12, so that would be about 72. So it's purely looking at the green numbers. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And the other thing that the last link tells you is just, again, just like with the inner abilities, all of the possible outcomes. This is just a huge list of numbers of possible outcomes. This is if you get something and you're like, okay, how much better could this actually possibly get? Then you can look into the list and see, like, what am I really rolling for here? Because if the best possible outcome is only like 8 stats more and you're like super close to what is the best possible ever, then it's probably not worth throwing more flames on, right? So knowing what the actual potential is can be helpful, but I rarely look at this. In the beginning, it's important to know, like, for example, like damage percentage is just the same number as a tier. Like 5% tier 5, 6% is tier 6. For boss damage, it doubles up. So tier 5 is 10%, tier 4 is 8%. Those things are important to know for your weapon, for example. Okay. And for all stat, the number is just the same as the tier. Like as soon as you know that, that's already a very good basis to go off of. The other numbers, like as a Demon Avenger, I needed this because of the numbers of HP. Like, good luck trying to remember all of this. Like, I don't know if like 3060 is like tier 12 on a fucking I don't know. Like that's all way too deep. And then the other thing with weapons, but you probably already know that because you have flamed your weapon, right? Because it goes...
I actually have no idea if my weapons are good or not.
Okay. So here it says flame advantage weapons, right? And normal weapons. So normal weapons is things like Pencilier, Muspel, Sweetwater, stuff like that. And then the flame advantage is things like Fafnir, Absolab, Arcana. Those are or Arcane, I should say. Those are the flame advantage ones. And the reason that the weapon flames are a little weird is because they go by the percentage of the base weapon or magic attack.
Okay.
So it's always a set percentage, but the numbers are always going to be a little bit different depending on what item it is. So if you look at your weapon, for example, your Absolab has 205. So that's nice because that's pretty close to 200, so that's easy to calculate. And it's level 160. So that means if you have a tier 6 and you have 200 attack, then it'll be roughly plus 80, right? Like 82, I think, right? So, and what you have right now is close-ish to that, but one lower. Yeah, 63. So that's probably a tier 5. So you can double check. So 30%, 30 and a quarter times this. So that's 60. Yeah, that makes sense. That's about 63. That rounds. It always rounds a little bit, of course. Yeah, so this is a tier 5 on attack. So that's the second highest possible you can get on attack, and I guess the second highest on a powerful flame, and the third highest on an eternal flame. You know the difference? Powerful, eternal.
Oh yeah.
And then that's tier 4 damage and tier 4 all stats. So it's nice to hit 3 bases of your main on your main damage. That's nice. Boss damage would be nicer because that one doubles up per tier, right? So for later in the game, and your regular percentage damage doesn't really matter when you're fighting monsters. Everything just dies. So you mainly want the bigger numbers possible for when you're bossing.
Gotcha.
And that'll also help you with rolling out of boss damage and into attack percentage instead on the weapon's potential, because then you won't have to compensate for the boss damage. So that's why it has good value there. Last things I wanted to say about flames. Oh yeah, the top thing on flames is pretty important. This is very important. This is the main reason why it's important to know the distinction between normal equips and flame advantage equips, or bad flames and good flames, is because the number of lines that get changed when you use a flame for normal is between 1 and 4. And for a flame advantage is always 4. This is the main reason why people will say something like, don't flame your Golux stuff, or aim very low on your Golux things, because those are normal equips, and it's very expensive to get good flames on there. And even if you get what's considered a good flame for a Golux item, it's still going to be shittier by quite a bit than other things. So you're aiming for very specific, for very different numbers compared to the normal equips and the flame advantage equips. That's just important to know. So in the beginning, you just check here, but this is a very important tell that you know that it's 1 to 4 lines and 4 lines on the other one. So if you go through the list, you can very clearly see, like, oh, this is flame advantage, flame advantage. You can't flame these. You can't flame any of these. Well, that's not flame advantage, right? Look, like, this can't be 4 lines. It's impossible. These aren't 4 lines. These are probably not 4 lines. They can be combination of stats, though. Sometimes you have, for example, strength, and then a line of strength and dex, and then a line of dex, for example. And then you can have 3 lines, but they can be condensed into 2 lines of stat visible on the item itself. So sometimes you have to puzzle a little bit.
This game's too complicated now. Damn.
Yeah, it got a bit more complicated with all of that. But then you see for CRA, oh yeah, that's flame advantage, flame advantage, flame advantage. Tyrants, that's flame advantage. You can look it up. This one is not flame advantage, but has a lot of stats on it. Can flame. This one you can tell by the number. It's even if it's not flame advantage, which you can tell by the number of lines it is. A 94, that's like impossible on a non-flame advantage item. Oh, that would be the most perfect possible roll ever, maybe. So that's this one also flame advantage. But that'll give you a general sense of like how high can I push this item and what can I aim for. The Sengoku Shodan pin, for example, not flame advantage, but is level 200, so that compensates for part of it, as why this is probably still like an acceptable flame to have, even though it's considered a shit item with shit flames.
Yeah, you think I should switch to cup?
So you just keep this, you get a cup, and then you can throw like extra flames on the cup until it overpowers this one. But this one is so like a 3, 8, 24, 66, no magic attack. Yeah, that'll get overpowered. If you look at the numbers, so we can look at the numbers, right? We can theory craft if you want to. So let's look up, Pink Holy Cup is level 140. And okay. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, of course, like the number of lines, but also the tiers of the lines, right? That's very important. So for normal equips, if you use eternal, let's say powerful flames, right? It's between levels 1 and 4, and for flame advantage, it's between 3 and 6. So the highest possible of the non-flame advantage is higher than the bottom of the flame advantage, but not by a whole lot. Like, they can go quite a bit higher. So let's say that you get the Sengoku Shodan pin and you get the best possible result, which would be the highest all stat that you can get, full strength, and then strength and dex, and then strength and something else, probably, because weapon attack would go up to 4. Well, we might have to do some maths here. Weapon attack would go up to 4 and roughly has a value of 4 for you now, but later in the game around 3, so that would be 12 equivalent. So we'd have to see if the tier 4 of strength and something else goes over 12 strength to see which one would be better for you. So let's see, strength increase, level 200. No, not strength. Strength and something else. Here we go. Level 200. Oh yeah, the tier 4 would be 24, so that would be quite a bit better than getting weapon attack instead. That would be the equivalent of like 8 weapon attack, so that would be better. So the best possible on the pin would be, so this should be half of the even number, I think, if that, oh no, 44, okay, close to it. So 44 strength by itself, then strength and something else twice, so the 24 that we saw twice, so that's 48. So that's like 92 strength. And 4% all stat. That would be the best possible outcome. So 4% all stat would turn into times 8.5 would be 34. 34 plus 88 is 122. I think. Would be like 122 flame score. That would be the best possible outcome if you hit everything max on the pin. And now for the Pink Holy Cup, we can also check. That's going to be way higher, right? So because that can go up to tier 7. So the best possible outcome there, even though you have to deal with a lower tier, like a tier 7 here is 56. The double ones, oh yeah, a little bit more because of the dex, but we can ignore the dex for now. That goes also into 86, so that's 28 times 2 ends up being the 56, so that's 112. And then plus 7 all stat, which translates into 60. So that would be 172. So if you're comparing like the best possible outcome, Pink Holy Cup can go way better, way higher. Even if you go for tier 6 and not for the tier 7. And you'll have the bonus benefit of that every time you kill Pink Bean, you'll get a free roll when it drops. Or Chaos Pink Bean has a very good drop rate. And then when you have multiple cups, you can also fuse them together with alchemy. You know how to do that?
Yeah.
And then you get a free roll, which also has a possible Eternal Flame roll. So it also has a possible tier 7 outcome. So basically what I would do now is get 1 extra cup. If you have, if it is better than what you have now, just replace it. If it's not better, then you just throw like some rogue flames on it until it gets better. Then switch out. And then if you have 1 extra cup, then basically just keep that, and you can either like just flame that if you find flames, and then just replace whichever one is the best. So you always wear the best one of the two, or you keep an extra one and you just fuse with that one extra one that you keep in your inventory. So that's counting like the 3rd cup from now, basically, the 3rd and the 2nd one from now, to fuse those to get an extra roll, and then you just do that, and if you get lucky and get something better, then you just replace them. So just for the basics on like how you get to the flame score and why flaming is important and how much you can possibly get from it, does that part make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to know if you're on the right track and what to aim for, because that's the most important thing, right? Like, okay, I can know what the number is, but what is realistic? What do I aim for, right? That's the important part here. And then you zoom in way too close on this. Hang on. Then we have this one under exclamation mark progression. And this is the one where you look at all of the numbers, hopefully, that we just talked about. So this is like an amalgamation of trying to keep track of how strong you are. Because I can't just look for this amount of range and you're good. Because range doesn't matter anymore, really. There's too much that gives you damage that just doesn't appear in range at all. So you can't go off of that at all. So what I go off of, in general, the level to kind of give you an idea of what part of the game you're in, what stage of the game. Then your main stat, what you want to be at around those levels, also to be able to participate in the certain bosses in that level. And that also connects again to the dailies that I showed before on which levels is it good to do certain things. That kind of assumes that you're within the parameters of strength, of upgrading, of funding that are in this grid as well. So critical rate, you've hit that. So functional damage is basically looking for during bossing how much total damage do you have. And if you know about damage calculation, how bonus and boss, that just gets thrown into one pile. So I throw that into one pile for these calculations too, because the blunt of the functional damage is dictated by your level anyway because of reboot. So we just throw those into one pile. Functional IED, you know about the difference between functional and visible IED?
Pardon? Oh, not really. I just have just flat 94.
Yeah, so that's the visible IED. So when you open up your inventory, that's the visual IED. So what you can check is exclamation mark IED, and that will link you to a calculator. This one is very simple, okay? All the stuff so far has been kind of like complicated calculation things. This one is pretty simple. You just put all of the sources of IED you have in your whole account, and you just add them, and then it'll just give you, this is what your functional, your actual IED is. The reason for that, again, is just the way that your range isn't really reliable because there's invisible sources of damage. There were also invisible sources of IED that don't apply to everything, but only to certain attacks. But if you use those attacks always, then functionally your IED is actually always applying. So when it comes to later on in the game, into the calculations for WSE, which is your optimization for your weapon, secondary, and emblem, that's what that stands for. How much IED you have is very important there because of how PDR works for bosses. You know about all of that? Yeah. So basically your attack percentage, your base damage, and this is the same number as here. This is this number basically, the base damage, right? This total of boss damage and regular damage. And then your IED, and here you need to enter that functional IED, not the visual one. So therefore, it's important to calculate that first. It's also linked here on the IED calculator, but I have it made under a different... I didn't make these things, by the way. I'm just linking to them because they work. Display stop just displays the top X amount of results. And then, so you add these numbers in without the potential of your weapon and your secondary and your emblem. It'll basically tell you what combination of potential on those 3 items will give you the most possible final damage increase compared to your current setup, basically.
Gotcha.
So that's your ultimate thing. But this is, of course, going to change wildly, or is expected to change wildly with the familiar update. So this is like too soon. You don't want to be looking into this yet. But this is going to be after, once you've settled, you're going for your arcane weapon. You've got your shield. That's when you get your new weapon, your new secondary. You're probably going to keep your emblem the way it is. Maybe go for full attack. That's going to depend because Hero has that fourth job skill that gives you 50% IED, I think, which is kind of disgusting. So you probably eventually, as your Legion grows and you put points in your Legion into IED, or if you can get enough IED extra from the familiars, you're probably going to be rolling into more attack on your emblem as well. Those 3 are also very expensive to roll properly because you're very demanding on those, but they'll also disproportionately give you a lot of your damage, so it's very important to be very demanding on them. Other than that, what do we have here? Legion level, so you're pretty you're like almost at 5k, right? So you're like going towards 6k there.
I'm trying to hit 6k by like end of either this or next month.
Yeah, that'll give you access to the full grid, so that's why that's pretty nice. Star Force, let's see where you're at right now. I'll guess that you're like... There you're probably lacking the most. I would say that you're probably mid 200s if I had to guess.
Maybe.
276. Okay, yeah, so like mid to high 200s, yeah.
Yeah, I think I might just use the Mesos to 17-star everything. I'm not quite sure. I'm debating between that or Kana.
If you don't have trouble killing the things around your level now, I would just save it up and just throw it at your Kana first. Your Kana will make it, will earn it back. And once your Kana's earned it back, then you can throw it back at your hero when there's an event like that. It's very important to be in the mindset of, is the upgrade I'm making right now, am I making it because I can or because I need it? Because if you don't necessarily need it, waiting is better because an event will always come around, and when it comes around and you saved up your money, you can, all of the money that you saved becomes worth more during the sale.
Then I think
so patience is key 15, there.
15 everything during the event, and then because I have like 3 items off it, 3 or 4.
Yeah, you're pretty close. I think it's your weapon.
Yeah, my weapon.
Weapon give a nice bit of attack. They'll just look better. The 12 on a weapon doesn't look great. But this is like a real Absolab, right? Or is it a fake Zolab?
It's a real Absolab.
Yeah, okay. Because we had those old ones that like went up to 12 and then you could potential them. But you could cube them, but you'd never go past 12.
It was 14, and then I dropped it to 12 like yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I have one left.
Yeah, 14 is so close yet so far away. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, stopped.
I just need one success. Yeah, and then that just doesn't happen. Okay. Yeah, you'll. You'll probably want to go for a better soul on that as well. Did you get lucky last Sunday or?
No, I need like one more lucid kill, and then I get the lucid soul. I'm just gonna, I think.
Hopefully, the soul shard drop rate is pretty bad.
That's true.
Oh yeah, if you're going for the lucid soul, you're just going for the normal soul on that then, or?
Yeah, hopefully I don't get mag.
Yeah. The thing is, man, the damage from the normal soul, if you're not a mage, is like really bad.
I mean, I just want the soul effect.
Yeah,
honestly.
okay. If you just, yeah, okay.
A bit better.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, all your potential on this shit is fine. You do have some 17 stuff here. Ah, man, the fact that, yeah, like your eye and face is like at 14.
Yeah.
That's gonna feel so bad if you like fail that first one. It's gonna feel so bad.
Yeah.
What is this?
I shouldn't touch my tyrant boots at all, right?
No, tyrant boots, tyrant cape, and you don't have tyrant belt, right? Yeah, no, you don't touch those at all, basically. They're fine where they are, and they just make sure that your transition to Absolab doesn't need to be rushed. So...
Should I even go for Absolute boots and cape?
The question is on how quickly you can get to the point where you can do the hard bosses. You'll probably want to get to... well, you do have burst. Man, Hard Lucid is getting nerfed soon as well. She's losing 24% of her HP.
Because I was told, like, it's okay to hold on to those.
Yeah, no, that's what I did on my Demon Avenger as well. Because when I kind of like quit that guy, I'm not going to invest into Abzo. Like I said, it's a huge amount of investment for not that much of a gain. But it's not like the... you can still benefit from the set of it. It's not like the Abzo stuff that you have is already like 20, 21, 22 or something, right? It's only like 14, 15, so...
I hate gloves so much. I think before I quit, I put in like 6 bill or something, trying to get
in
crit
black
damage
cubes.
lines.
Yeah.
Had to settle.
Yeah, I think I got it on 8 bill on mine. I think my mom got it 8 bill on hers as well. It's pretty tricky. And that's considered lucky. I think on average you're looking at 14, like 12 to 14 bill or something to get the double crit. It's so good though.
Yeah.
So much damage, especially when you get that 100% critical rate. It's really, really good. Okay. Short term, mid-term, long term for your gear. Oh yeah, so you ideally you want to wait until there's a 30% off to get to 15, and then and then at 5, 10, 15 if you want to go from 15 to 17. That's like how to spend your money on that the best. Safeguard things you don't... Sorry?
I thought 22nd there was a no boom event. Per pixel or something?
Yes. True.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to 15 then?
I would still do it like...
Safeguard.
Yeah, if there's a combination of that room and a Star Force event on a Sunday, then you want to still look out for that instead. So during the patch notes, we'll get Sunny Sunday updates on the bottom of the patch always, and then you'll see which Sundays are going to be the prime Star Forcing time. But yes, yeah, if you can, of course, utilize those for sure.
I don't one-shot on Moonlight Bridge with drop rate gear. I don't know why I'm using drop rate gear on Bridge.
Yeah, you can either get a little bit of Mesotitane or just stay in full damage, honestly. Yeah, you can get droplets there anyway. Well, yeah, when it comes to like where to train exactly on hero on your level, I'm not 100% on that, so I would have to like defer that to an actual hero.
Decent map. I can just go left and right, rope up and go. I forget which one it was, but
I think Zelpex was talking about that there's like a kind of a lazy training map as a hero that gives like decent rates, yeah. That might be
like
the same
10%
one.
10% in an hour and a half. It was really nice.
No, it's not too bad for your level. I mean, considering you're a hero.
Yeah.
The overall training isn't considered like super good.
Yeah.
Can you see his pocket item? Yeah, it's old one from Sengoku High. Of course, it was really good back then. 20 all stat and 10 weapon and magic attack. Really good. This is way before Flames, of course, even came in. You can flame Absolute Shoulder. Yeah, only the Scarlet Shoulder can be flamed, and that's only accessible in non-reboot through. Is it through Marvel? I think it's through Marvel. Yeah, that's some broken non-reboot shit that only they get. Okay, we were talking about short-term for that. So you know about Gollux, about the shop being restockable and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna be just saving up a bunch of superior and reinforced. Oh wait, you do. Oh wait, you switched the rings. Okay, I was thinking I was seeing things. I was like, wait, did I just? am I seeing things here? No, okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be like restocking on extra rings, and then when there's a, perhaps during the no boom era as well, trying to make some gains there. That's gonna be tricky though, to try to get like fund up your Kana, level that, work on that, also make enough money to like. It's gonna be a heavy game of like prioritizing stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what to exactly do from this point on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty.
I was actually thinking of keeping my reinforced ring, because it just looks.
Yeah, it looks a bit silly like that.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It is not bad, no. Well, yeah, considering the nature of the no boom, might be better to prioritize Star Forcing though.
What's the no boom? There's a no boom event or something?
Well, there's like a room, and if you Star Force in there, that
to 15,
you can boom.
right?
Yeah, up to 15 you can boom. So you're probably gonna boom this from where it is now to 20. Well, depending on how far you go, there's a chance that you boom it, and then if you don't have to Star Force the new one to get, if you have limited resource or limited access to the clean items, then you always want to safeguard, and if you can avoid having to safeguard but get the benefits of safeguard, then you definitely want to go into that. So that's like if you go for the Meister rings, for example, because there's a limited to craft. If you're Star Forcing on Absolab itself and you don't want to have to do a bunch of extra weeklies, because that changed from dailies to weeklies. Yeah. So like the CRA stuff, this is where you can make a lot of easy gains pretty cheap. If you keep doing CRA bosses a lot, you probably have a bunch of backup coupons. Yep. But the thing for this is you don't need to wait for a no boom room for this, because you don't mind if these things blow up anyway, because you have infinite backups. So this is going to be low priority. You don't really want to spend too much on Star Forcing these right now. That's more important to do during like a regular Star Force event, but when there's no boom room. So I'll definitely focus on the things that you have limited backups of. Have you done like a BA in the last 2 weeks?
What's the BA?
Battle analysis to see how much burst damage you do. To see.
Oh no, not at all.
Okay. Because you can use that to kind of like estimate how much more damage you need to be able to get into a hard boss party. Besides doing the mechanics and everything, of course. And then you can see how far you would have to stretch on the current stuff, and how good you would be to just wait and like hold out for arcane drops, or try to farm for those.
The nice thing is I have a bunch of friends who didn't quit back then, so they're willing to take me through a bunch of bosses for a bit.
Okay, that's good. In that case, man, I mean, it's normal that you have questions on where to go from here, but because with the combination of the Gollux shop and the combination of how familiars are going to change, it is normal to have questions right now, but it's also unclear exactly. Like, how many coins are we going to get from Helix when you kill him? Only 1 clear per week. How expensive are the items going to be in the shop? What is the exchange? Yeah, no, one a day, but sorry, only 1 clear a day instead of like multiple entries where you can farm coins. And how expensive is the item going to be in the shop, and what is the exchange rate going to be from the old coins to the new coins? Those are all numbers we have to know so that I can say like, okay, it's realistic to just like, save up like 4 extra rings or something and just go for it. Or is this a thing that will literally... Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to know the numbers. Like, eventually you'll do that. Yeah. But is it realistic to, like, say, oh, yeah, just go for 22 right now? Or is it like, oh, you have, like, these 16 other things to do, and then you can do the stuff with your rings, right? Like, where it lands in the priority list is a little bit tricky. But, like, yeah, your CRA stuff, that's an easy one to do outside of the event. So since we have the No Boom room, I would, like, focus on stuff that you would be difficult to replace. So like star forcing the Sweetwater Tattoo and a monocle, for example. That's like easy. Have you made any headway on like the Meister stuff? Is that something you've looked at?
I haven't even touched the Meister stuff.
Okay.
And is it necessary or? I don't need the ring. Aside from that, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. So the question is kind of right now. Do you still have the Kana treasure ring?
I haven't done that quest on my.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
I can get it.
So you have access to that, yeah. That's still a one-timer though. You have the heart though. That's nice with good potential. That's good. Yeah, the question is kind of so because Gollux should also be giving more access to the Phantom Forest coins. I don't know if you're up to speed with all the Phantom Forest stuff.
I have no idea what that is.
Basically, it's like a combination of the old Crimson Heart Keep, like where the where the Headless Horseman was and the Bigfoot and everything, and then the Guardians up there in the castle, and a combination of that and old NLC aliens and everything.
Okay.
They kind of like tried to throw everything non-KMS into one big pile. It has like extra monsters there, and it's got special elite bosses there. It's got extra dailies and weeklies there that can give you certain coins. There's like 2 types of coins. There's like a silver and a gold one. And the silver ones you use now to buy those old trading card game items. Like the throwing stars and the special items and such. So that's the only place where you can get like Crystal Ibis, Balance Furies. And then the gold coins you can use to buy accessories that are level 180. But the catch there is that upgrading and star forcing them, like it doesn't cost just money, but it also costs extra coins.
Oh, okay.
So it is possible, since it is level 180 and there's a ring there, to actually get some really good shit. But it can, I think it. So when they gave the initial numbers, if you looked at the average cost and how much you can get per day, if you did dailies every day, the average time it would take you to get a 22-star ring was 10 years.
Oh my god.
So a little bit tricky. They've doubled the rewards since then, so now the average is only 5 years. But there's also, of course, there's events sometimes that allow you to, there's one example, there's an event that if you successfully Star Force at 10 or lower, you get 2 stars successful instead of 1, so that can just propel you into 12. If you get lucky during a 30% off and you have a 5, 10, 15 and guaranteed, you can definitely lower that quite a bit. And, if you get lucky compared to others. But so they're planning on also integrating that content with Gollux, that sometimes there's a shop that can pop up, kind of similar to what I was talking about with Frederic de Blanc and Rudibus, that can sell you those potions. That should give access that you might be able to buy some of those coins with the Gollux coins, for example. So they're planning on further integrating that content with each other to further speed up. There's also been Sunny Sundays where you can get free coins or maybe even get double rewards from the dailies and stuff. So there are ways of speeding it up. Okay. But it is kind of still niche content that can take a long time, but there is a possibility there. So if you go for that ring, if you're planning on going for that ring, it's just a very long-term project.
I think I might just do the Kana questline, get the ring, and on the 22nd plus 15 it, and then cube it, and replace my master ring.
Would it even be better already at 15? Oh yeah, because it'd be roughly similar to the reinforced, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be better. That would be an upgrade by like 30 stat probably. That's something. I wonder if that's. I wonder
just
if you
15 it and not cube it.
Yeah, personally, I would not cube it yet, and then just see if it would, if it goes somewhere potential wise, Star Force wise, and then if it does, then you can cube it. That is what I would do, but it's definitely a good general line of thought to be like, okay, the limited resource items, get those and Star Force those within the event period, and definitely look when the patch notes comes out. When is the overlap between the No Boom Room and a Star Force event, and then. Because if you throw your money at it, then your money is just going to be worth like 2, 3, 4-fold what it would be outside of the event. Yeah.
For my farming Kana,
yeah.
How much stat do I need? You think to? Farm
That's a good question. Does chat know this? If you wanna Arcana, this is counting max nodes.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of nodes I haven't used.
I think people want like. Is it like 18 or something, guys? Is it like 20? You don't have to be too crazy, right, with Arcana? To start like 16 to 17 and to optimize 22. Oh yeah, I was pretty close then. Damn, I do know. Wow, look at me. To optimize 22. Yeah, so like low 20s into... Well, just under 20 until like low 20s should be pretty good by the looks of it.
Okay.
And of course, yeah, depending on how your boost nodes are and all that other stuff. Okay, we're still going through this. We got sidetracked just a little bit by Star Force. The other one is the weapon flame score. I mentioned that one separately because of the percentages that we just went over. So you currently have tier 5 plus, and then eventually you want to go into tier 6 plus. So that'll be tier 6 attack, and then plus indicating either boss damage or all stat or strength, or a combination of a few of those.
Gotcha.
So you're pretty close with that. And then flame score has non-boss and boss separated by the slash.
Okay.
And then has a separator with the dash based on the levels of the items.
Okay.
Because different levels items, like there's a tier from 140 to 159, and then one from 160 and onward. So this is basically the difference between the Pink Holy Cup and the CRA stuff, and then the other one is for Absolab and higher.
Okay.
So this is what you want to be aiming for in the flame score. And that's the calculation that we had with the numbers and with the strength and the all stat and everything.
Gotcha.
They'll take a little bit of getting used to in the beginning. You're like, oh, and seem a little bit tedious, but once you just... After a while, you just look at an item and be like, oh, this is pretty good. Basically, this is to help you internalize the order of which to flame things. You can just look at 2 items and be like, oh, this one's worse, so this one has to be flamed first because it has a higher chance of being upgraded. And you can see 2 items and be like, oh, these are roughly equivalent, so I'll just leave those. Hopefully that's the level of what it leads to eventually.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's basically that. Node levels, boost levels, that'll make sense. Arcane power, that'll make sense to you. And then the goals for bosses, that just comes naturally, but you're probably already pretty aware of all of that because of your experience so far. Yeah, okay, well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So all of these sources that I have on my stream are, like, I hope the goal is to have them all integrated with each other as much as possible, that they all make sense together. And of course they're always available, and they get updated every now and then, but as you'll want to look up some stuff that we went over, because we went over quite a lot of stuff, to look at the numbers, you'll probably find more references in between, and maybe find a few things that I didn't mention that you think might be important. So you can always ask in the chat or ask on Discord or something. I'm always available for that.
I'm not totally sure I'm gonna hit that 40k stat mark when I'm at 31, 32.
I mean, you'll get there eventually, man. Not maybe by 250, right? It's just a general, it's just like a general goal.
Okay.
Like my hero's at 235, and I think I just passed 20k. Like that's, when you look at the numbers, that's quite low. But I tend to upgrade only a few times and then make like huge jumps. Like I have 17 star CRA or something, and I have like a shitty I don't even know what my glove is on my hero. It's probably just some garbage glove. But then the next thing I'm going to upgrade to is probably try to get 21 star level 150, transfer hammered into an Abzo glove, and then get a 20 star Abzo glove and get double line crit damage on it. Like, that's my next upgrade step. So if I do that for 4 items and, you know, for just the whole Abzo set, then I just gain like 15k stat overnight, basically. But that's how I like to... Stuff? Yeah, that's one thing we didn't really go into yet, but that's kind of because of your situation where you are like semi-Tyrant, semi-Absolab, a little bit in between. You know how Transfer Hammer works in general, right?
I know it like moves the stars over -1. That's about...
Yeah, so stars -1, that's the main thing. It also moves the potential over, but it reduces this to epic if it's higher. And keeps the same lines, but that doesn't really matter if you're talking about getting things to unique or legendary or whatever. But it can basically function as 100% epot scroll at least, so that's a little bit of value there. The flames don't get moved over, so you keep the flames of the target item. So the main reason that this is really helpful is, for example, say that you don't want to do the weeklies for Absolab for literally 3 months, but instead you just... what you do is you just get the Royal Warrior helmets from the CRA helmets that you have a bunch of coupons of. You just wait until there's an event. You just keep star forcing over and over until you get to 21 or to 22 maybe, I don't know. And then you get one Absolab hat, you transfer it over, boom, you have a 20 or 21 star Absolab hat, and you're just done with the hat. You don't have to do weeklies anymore, you don't have to do... so the idea is that you save up items that are more easy to replace and that are cheaper to blow up and have very low ramifications, and use that to increase the value of the Absolab, because that way you save a lot of time and having to do weeklies and having to risk blowing those up. And you don't have to safeguard those, so that ends up saving money that way. Yeah, so there's a bunch of items that allow you to do that. For example, the CRA hat into the Abzo hat. You have the shoulders dropped by Madman Ramaru. That's why it's also one of the dailies that I have in the list. If you get the Absolab, the Ramaru shoulder, you can transfer hammer that one into the Absolab shoulder. It doesn't matter which class's shoulder it is, as long as it's just a level 150 shoulder, it'll transfer over, so you don't have to worry about that.
Because I have a bunch of spare Absolab accessories in my inventory.
Oh, you have extra Absolab? Okay.
You have like 2 extra gloves, an extra shoulder, and a cape, I think.
Okay, so if you have some extra Absolab, then you don't have to go that route. You can just like non-safeguard just on the item itself, because then you don't have to like risk it that way. I typically, I don't know, you've probably done some hard bosses then, right? Like you did some hard Damien, hard... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's typically not how I go about it, because I just don't do that. But if you already have those, then you can take that into consideration, of course. Having two extra, like one extra is kind of dicey, right? Like you can try it, and then as soon as you blow one up, you'll have to drop back to plan B anyway. Yeah. So it's probably good to, if you're doing Ramaru as a daily, just to save up on those shoulders. Just all the shoulders that you get, by the way, just keep them. Even a mage shoulder or something is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so typically what I do then is I hold those items, wait for a 5, 10, 15, and then go hard on those items. I get them to like 21. If I get them to 21, transfer hammer over to Absolab, and then just recube the Absolab, and then you're done. You don't have to worry about blowing up your Absolab. You don't have to worry about weeklies, about doing hard bosses. And the lower level items are easier to replace.
Is Fafnir top and bottom still best in slot?
Yep, that stays best in slot until further notice. Yeah, it's just like double, because of flames they got even better, right? It's double flames, double star force, double potential. It's just too good. Yeah. It even gets better in endgame now, because once you get the Genesis weapon is a lucky item, and then you actually bring back the Royal Warrior helmet, and then get the 4 set bonus for the 30% boss back. So yeah, it actually becomes even better then. So with all that being said, yeah. So if that's something you want to look into, so when you're looking at transfer hammer, so the hat into the Absolab hat, for shoes, you're probably not going to do that, but just to know, like the root shoes, you can buy those in the shop in Root Abyss. Those are level 150, so you can use those to transfer hammer in. Obviously, you can't use Tyrant because star forcing works different with superior gear, so you can't transfer into them or from them. That doesn't work. So for the shoulder, you have the Rimuru shoulders. For the gloves, most of the items also drop from Rimuru, but they're all going to be for different classes. And then if you blow it up, the trace is not going to be transferable to another item.
Okay.
So it's safer to have like a bunch of the same ones that are just exactly the same item, just to save time and immediately starting again from 12 stars, just because of how tedious star forcing is, because it can just waste a lot of your time. So for the gloves, you can use the root gloves, and those you can buy from the black market in near the Magnus's castle with the Magnus coins, or like the normal Magnus coins or the hard Magnus coins, but preferably the normal ones, of course, if you want to.
Great.
All
right.
And for capes, you can get the Chaos Zakum cape is one that you can use as backup for Absolab if you ever want to do that. But yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. Other than that, you need backups for superior gear for Galax, of course. But yeah, that's hopefully that's going to be less RNG heavy and easier to buy them, because they're going to be in the shop. The belt and the pendants are going to be in the shop now. So.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, are you good? Yeah, if you have any like backups, there's a bunch of commands, and you can always message me in stream or or on Discord or something, and I'll get back to you ASAP.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, no problem, dude. Thanks for the dono.
See ya.
Yep, see ya.